a particular task. For example, one task may be like inviting the people. Another task is doing the shopping. Another task is the cooking. So, likewise, for each one you have to write a program. You can't write one program to do shopping and cooking and everything. So, you have to modularize your components and approach accordingly.
So, that is the systematic way of doing.
Yeah, systematic way of the planning, designing and implementing. So, you design it so that you separate different tasks so that you can code these different tasks. So, if something goes wrong when you are implementing, you know it went wrong at this point.
So, it is easy to maintain that.
Yeah, easy to maintain. Your code is small so that you can detect the errors. And then in your testing also, you test just one small part.
Right.
So, when you do small components and put together, then you have one full working system. So, each part takes time. So, each small task may take 1-2 days. So, likewise, if you spread your work, you end up with the required solution. Now, as this slide indicates, the software is a collection of programs, procedures, documentation that perform some tasks on an operating system. That may you are using some sort of a computer-based environment to execute the software, but it consists of programs and documentation. So, the documentation part is represented in your dissertation. Now, the documentation for the software is part of the dissertation, but the dissertation have other parts as well, which is not software documentation, but is documentation of the system and justification and evaluations and various things which are in addition to the software component. Now, if I try to go to the next step with respect to your small, medium, large scale type of projects, I will try to relate it to a type of a business software. Now, what I try to mean to business software was because we ultimately try to come up with a software solution to facilitate some business requirement or some real world thing. So, it may be not necessary to be business per se, but most will be of that basis, because you may not make money out of it, but then whatever you do, you try to do it better through this solution.
Right.
So, the idea is to increase the productivity and then achieve that through this software collection of software programs. Now, you try to come up with a solution that will do that. So, your solution end product is the programs, but at the beginning you have to see how you are going to write it, which languages you are going to write it, which platform operating system you are going to execute it. You have to do those as your planning and then design accordingly to suit them. And then if we look at a little bit with respect to some examples of the different size of projects. Now, the small project I mentioned, like a small get together in a Friday evening or something like that, but with respect to computer application,
right.
Now we regularly use day-to-day things, right? Writing a letter, may use some sort of a spreadsheet application to manage your day-to-day expenses or something like that. So, by doing it in a more organized way, you can come up with some sort of a system, a software system, where not only you, somebody else also can use the same templates and the interfaces to do tasks. Now, those type of things are in the small scale type of thing, because what you do is basically making use of other software like of OpenOffice or the Microsoft Office, and then use those tools to capture whatever your requirements and to present your outputs using those tools. So, if you try to develop some application on those, you can come up with good application, but most of the time it may fall under these small scale projects.
Right.
That is because a person who is familiar with these tools can develop such a system in a week or two. So, if you have used that sort of thing, then you can't justify the 300 hours of work.
Right.
Because your implementation may be like 50 or 60 hours of work, but then that is not the only part of the project. You may have spent another 50 to find the project and another 50 to document. So you may come up with still 150 hours of work, but then our target was 300. So now to distinguish whether your project will limit into this category is not a straightforward task.
Yes.
Now, but just because you use Microsoft Access, which is a Office package, doesn't mean that your end product is a small scale product. It can fall into the other category. For example, you may start organizing a party, but if your party, if you go beyond this Friday evening party and plan as a party involving all your friends and other aspects of how to manage like the hall and other details, then party becomes from small to medium. So using the same platform of Microsoft Access or whatever, you can still use the same resources and go into a medium scale solution as well. It doesn't prevent you going from small to medium. But when you are planning, you must look at it. If you find it, your one is in the small boundary, how you can expand it to go to the next step.
Right.
So we'll look at some examples little later.
So I think it is clear that from this simple example, what is the size of the project that they have to select, how they select the idea is clear now. Do you have any the example from IT field that to give a idea about this the size of the project?
Yeah. So basically what we are talking about was this medium sized projects, and as some sample examples of medium sized projects I've just listed from a common definition from the net, which identifies some accounting application, group application, customer relation, human resource and so forth. I will link this to a more comprehensive list later, because I just wanted to briefly introduce the difference between medium and the large as well. Now, generally medium scale projects are used by like some department or one institute or something like that, but big organizations basically have lot of branches or lot of business sectors. They will not just do manufacturing alone. They may be doing manufacturing, marketing and various things, and they will have different sub officers to do those things. So when you develop a system to monitor all those activities, you need an integrated solution. So the